So today's movie is a 1996 hit film called Scream, where everybody does just that. But you all need to hear this urgent news. I'm giving this custom modded Game Boy away. It was made by my friend Dan Boy Color. It's got light up LED buttons and a backlit color screen and a rechargeable battery. All you gotta do is join my Patreon and you can do that for free. This is eligible to all patrons, even ones who give me $0. If you've got $5 a month or maybe more and you want to throw it at me, I'll love you forever and you'll help me continue these videos. But I'll be raffling this off to one of all patrons regardless of payment. Other prizes will be raffled off in upcoming months as well. So sign up and win some free cool stuff. When this movie came out, I looked like this. Now, 28 years later, I look like this. Can't believe I still look the exact same. You know who doesn't look the same? The first person we see in the movie. Not so puny Drew Barrymore. Turns out, this movie is the sequel to Eat, because it starts out with puny Drew Barrymore, now morphed into full Drew Barrymore, from 7 to 21. She now is a full guy. Make sure you watch my ET video after this one. She has moved from Los Angeles up north to wine country, California. She is also sporting a slick 1995 Bell South cordless 25-channel phone model 39,000. Hubba. That antenna sure is talking to my antenna right about now. No offense, Drew, you're okay too. Big puny Drew keeps getting calls from some dude who's super obnoxious. He's like, hey, I'm lonely and I want to know what scary movies you like. And she's like, hey, creep, it's the 90s. Call a 900 number. And he's like, whoa, rude. How about I do murder upon you? And then she gets nervous, as do I. This scene is what I do not choose. I choose hee-hees and merriment, not stress bros. This stress bro is spamming full Drew all night. He's like, you like spookiest movies? And she's like, duh, it's the 90s. And he's like, okay, how about 1 million questions? Who's Michael Myers? And who's Jason Voorhees? And now I'm realizing that this movie is sort of self-aware, kind of breaking the so-called fourth wall, not something I've experienced in horrific flicks of the past. Leave it to director Wes Anderson. Craven. Wes Craven. Wow, that would be a different horror movie. Bill Murray murdering Jason Schwartzman for 2 hours in orange-painted hotels. Everyone would bleed sepia. Wes Craven, on the other hand, is daddy to Frederick Krueger. He directed The Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, and Nightmare on Elm Street. And now he's back to flip horror upside down with 90s wit. So after failing his film snob quiz, he tells Drew, you win a prize. It's your jock boyfriend. And his Elio's pizza fell out of his stomach. Oops, he's dead. Telemarketer is actually telemurderer. Seeing this makes her very unhappy, so she chooses to leave the area. Moments later, she has relocated to back of the house and is joined by Big Knife. Telemurderer is now in the house. Not so puny Drew decides to make a run for the street. Bad idea, cause the cordless killer says, what's up, and tackles her. We now see the phone phantom is wearing a mask that looks like the Edward Munch painting titled The Scream. What a coincidence. Munch then introduces a knife to Big Drew's not-so-puny chest. Lil Big Drew bonks Munch with her not-so-puny landline, and she makes a run for the parentals, now arriving home. She was mere feet away, but death was closer. Munch feeds her more knife and drags her away. Parents pick up the phone and hear their daughter entering the nether realm. It's actually really sad, and I did not enjoy that. Big Puny Drew's creators then saw something they enjoyed even less. The DiGiorno pizza falling out of Drew's belly all over the lawn as she dangled from a tree. Mother then said the name of the movie. And scream I did when I discovered the joy of Nathan Barnett's YouTube channel. What magical videos he makes. If only I could support him somehow with cash money. Again I scream, for he has a Patreon. The angels who support these movie videos deserve public recognition. Here you go. Make sure you check out the Patreon post in the members Discord to watch these videos before everyone else. Thanks guys. Everyone join them and keep these videos going. How sad that Big Puny Drew is only in 12 minutes and 55 seconds of the Eat sequel. What a horrifying start to what I thought would be a jolly romp through 90s cinema. I don't know if I can handle this. My favorite movie is Nacho Libre, for crying out loud. This spooky mask makes me uncomfy. What's this? Alright, maybe this movie isn't so bad. The next thing we see is Neve Campbell doing cyberweb on a sick 90s PC. I wonder if it plays Doom. She's even got a 5-disc changer in this place. Okay, maybe I can survive unbridled fear if I'm often soothed by the nostalgia of dated technology. As Never Campbell is, I assume, hacking the database, she is suddenly home invaded by the dollar store version of Gavin Rossdale from the hit 90s band Bush. He tries to sing Glycerine, but Never's dad is like, hey, why did you... And she's like, nothing to see up here, Dad. Then Dad says, I'm leaving town. Don't drink my Zimas. Then Bush comes back and says, hey, why don't we do a reproduction ritual? And Never is like, because we're mere teens. And Bush is like, actually, I'm a 26-year-old man playing a high schooler, and you're 21. And she's like, I shall distract him with boobs. And then he flees. The next morning, it's chaos in this small, sleepy town. Reporters and cops are everywhere as 90s teens head to school. Everyone has heard about not-so-puny Drew and Touchdown getting souffled. It's at this point that we learn that not only is Scream the sequel to Eat, but it's also the sequel to Ace Ventura, because we see Melissa Robinson, the publicist for the Miami Dolphins and Ace Ventura's love interest, now working for the local news. Wow, a double sequel. I don't think that's ever been done before. 3 movies coming together. Cinematic innovation. During school, the not nearly 30-year-old students get called to the principal's office to undergo questioning by the police. And we see the Dolphins' PR in real-life husband and professional wrestler, David Arquette, is the deputy of the town. That Hollywood power couple are also my good friends and co-stars of a big-time major motion commercial. I honestly don't remember what commercial this was. Good to see them in the film that kindled their fiery romance ages ago. What? They're divorced now? Well, it makes sense. She was gripping me pretty tight there. Can't believe I caused the biggest divorce of Hollywood's power sweethearts. Oops. Later, the definitely teenagers are eating lunch like all Californian kids do in films, outside under a sunny blue sky by a water fountain. Unlike us, sad, frozen, wet, pale, and poor teens in every other state eating canned tuna in concrete prison-style cafeterias built in the 1960s. As they're eating their carefree kale salads, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo and Hackers says, women can't be murderers. It takes a man to do something like that. Then his girlfriend is like, weird flex, bro. Then he doubles down on the dumbest argument ever and is like, girls don't have what it takes. In order to empty one's guts, you must slice from the crotch up, thus allowing for maximum murder. Then Samson from the same year 1996 Shakespeare movie, Romeo and Juliet, aka Jamie Kennedy, is like, dost thou explain whence ye learnt such knowledge for murder, Shaggy? You sure do know a lot about this exact murder case. I work at Blockbuster and know everything about murder movies and the spooky tube. So what you're saying is suspicious. Did you pay a visit to not-so-puny Drew last night? And Shaggy is like, no, I was at this lady's place. And this lady is like, yup. Then Never is like, I don't have the guts to listen to this convo about guts. Peace. Later, at home, Never watches TV, and Monica is like, hey, remember when your mom was murdered last year? And Never is like, click. Now feeling blue about life, sans mom, Never decides to take a nap, cause life is easier when brain go off. Now, with day fallen, Never rises. This beautiful 1990 Bell South 674 cordless with speed dial and answering system sings its beck and call and Never answers. Oh no, it's the film snob tele-murderer again. She tells him horror movies are cringe and so cliche, and he's like, how dare thee? Sneak attack. Now, for a seasoned murderer, he's horrible. She defeats him and outsmarts him at every turn. Then, Ghostface is... Okay, you know what? I'm not calling him Ghostface. I don't like that. He doesn't look like a ghost at all. The director, Wes Craven, said that the face is similar to the famous painting The Scream, but I'm not calling him Scream. That would just get confusing. In the movie, the costume package says Father Death, so Death Daddy it is. Daddy no likey, never no likey horror. You get that? Everyone still with me? Never runs from Daddy and uses the future to call 911. Luckily, she hung up the cordless because that email would have gone nowhere fast with a busy landline. And like that, Never has defeated the serial killer with mere door. Door too hard to defeat for Daddy. Oh, thank God Bush has arrived to comfort his love. Or not. A naughty cell phone falls from his body, and she falls from love, and into the arms of Westborough's finest, Dewey, the deputy. Was Bush Daddy all along? For my 8th grade girlfriend he was. Monica shows up looking all April O'Neil, and I'm all, yes please. Bush gets booked and cops ask all the right questions.
What are you doing with the cellular telephones, huh?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Why is everyone on cell phones? You guys don't realize how good you have it back there in 1996. Stay slow, innocent, and archaic. Your minds are free. Then Bush is like,
everybody's got one, Sheriff.
we're too late. The fall of society has begun. Never and reboot Alicia Silverstone leave the cop store where April pounces for the scoop. She's like, what's almost murder like? And Never is like, how were the sales on your book about my dead mom? April is like, actually, pretty good. Never fists April, and now we're at a sleepover. But an uninvited guest shows up to the cuddle party. No, it wasn't this beautiful Western Electric 12-button push-dial model number CS2500 DMG1 analog dual-tone multi-frequency phone. That beige audio vixen is always invited to the party. It's the vocal intruder who shows up once again. Death Daddy is back, and he says add heaven to your calendar. Then dummy deputy says Bush was released from prison and calls didn't come from his AT&T 3850 classic brick cell phone. Oh, baby, this movie's really doing something to me. Back at school, Never is hungry for seconds with April, but this time their mouths go to war. Facts versus false. Never is like, your book said lies about my mom. And April is like, book isn't a liar. Book says the killer is still on the loose, and the random dude you convicted is gonna die for nothing. Never is like, he's a naughty boy. April says, is it a crime to bone your mom? And Never says, how dare thee? My mom don't play like that. And April then says, you don't seem so confident there. Psh, says Never, and heads to algebra. Bush is fresh out of jail and looking for an education. Sex ed, that is. He's like, girlfriend, I still can't believe you won't do reproduction with me, even after I was proven innocent of murdering you. And she's like, dude, my mom is dead, and that's a lot to process. And he literally says, I think it's time you got over that. Wow. This guy sucks. Never runs to the pooper to take an emotional dump. But unfortunately, the telemarketer from hell was in there pooping too and wasn't happy that Never heard all his farts. So he tries to kill her body, but the only thing that dies is his credibility as a murderer. This guy stinks at his job. After school, Shaggy tells Clueless and Never that he's having a party tonight. Never says, yeah, sure, cool, see you there. Also, I almost embarrassed myself in front of my Hollywood peers and didn't mention a huge detail. The director of the movie, Wes Craven, makes a cameo as a janitor named Fred, while dressed like Fred Krueger. Haha, that's funny. And Linda Blair, who played the nut job girl with a backwards head from Exorcist, is also in Scream as a reporter who's always screaming at Never. Thanks to all the smarty pants in my Discord for telling me. Now I don't have to let you know that I had no idea. And now you all think I'm a true film buff. Great, moving on. Principal Fonzie gets a visit from the 9X nut job. He's like, this is for detention last semester. And like that, another victim is added to the devil's phone book. Clueless and Never are stooping it, and Never is like, hey, if my mom's killer isn't my mom's killer, then my mom's killer is out there in the bushes somewhere. And then the killer in the bushes is like, hey, no peeky. Clueless gets meta again and tells Never she sounds like a Wes Craven movie while being in a Wes Craven movie. Then we come to my favorite part of the movie. The video store that Bromeo works in. Get it? Romeo's bro? Keep up with me. Bromeo is slapping those shelves with those beautiful VHS tapes. What I wouldn't give to live in 1996 again. Sniffing the fine plastic of some new flicks fresh off the home video release date. Every kid in town is there. This place is doing some business. Someday I want to have my own video store like this, but mine is also like a mega hang zone. Come in and suck down a smoothie and rent a Game Boy and throw down in some Sword Striker while you peruse the tapes, then maybe take a break and play some arcade games or bust out your LAN cables and escape to Azeroth and rack some levels while enjoying the general retro aesthetic because oops, the world around us sucks chunks and I need to escape. Yikes! I went off script there a little bit. Anyway, Shaggy's inviting Bromeo to his party tonight. Bromeo's like, yeah, once I get off work in this heavenly establishment. By the way, Bush definitely killed everyone and tried to kill his girlfriend. Then Bush is like, I heard that. Then Bromeo urinates in his Jenkos and Shaggy is like,
see you at the party,
Bromeo. The Peaky Blinders theme then plays and we see the whole town shutting down early like a Western shootout is about to take place. The girls go to the store to get some party snacks and Never is like, Bush has never met my Bush, and he's super bummed. Clueless is like, no big D, he'll get over it. We then see 9X has left the front yard hedges and is now in the frozen section. Cops then talk deets about the murder case. One sucks cone and the other sucks cancer. Cancer is like, the cell phone records came in and the murderer was calling from the dad's cell phone. It seems Daddy Death might actually be Daddy. Conesucker then heads to the party. April O'Neil joins in on the fun too. She's really upgrading her recreation time in associates, from hanging out with a bunch of teenage boys in the sewers to teenage boys in a house in wine country. She flirts with Cone Cop and they head into the party together. She sneaks in a camcorder to catch the action that will inevitably unfold. Teens fan out over celebrity reporter April being at the party, but not all are happy. Never says ugh, then says to Cop, "Where's my dad? Did you cops find him?" Cop says, "We don't know where he is. We're only the cops. Geez, give us a break." Shaggy asks clueless girlfriend to get him a beer cause he needs to urine. She goes to the garage and now it's suddenly freezing in the house. Yikes. Garage locks diamond cutters inside. "Don't look now, it's our old pal Daddy Death." And she's like, "Talk to the hand." Remember that? Everyone said that in the 90s. So disrespectful. But she didn't say that. Instead, she tried to stuff her large belongings through the doggy door. Then Double D, Death Daddy, he's Double D. Ew, come on, you guys, gross. Dee Dee has a great idea to open the garage door and let it do all the work for him. Lucky for him, it's the strongest garage door opener on the face of Earth, cause it lifts 120 pounds covered in Delia's fashion off the ground, then pulls it into oblivion until it and her short circuit. Seconds later, Bush shows up to the house. Where was he until now? Looks like it's time for Neverbush to finally talk and repair their failing relationship. Let's go upstairs where there's no witnesses. April and Van Man secretly record the teenage events unfolding in the living room. Lovers talk in the bedroom. She's like, "Life has been hard since my mom left Earth." And he's like, "Remember in Silence of the Lambs when the lady saw dead guys?" And she's like, "Why are you so obsessed with goddamn movies? I'm having a moment with you." And he's like, "Life is a movie." And she's like, "Okay, can you shut up? It's time we take the next romantic step and reproduce." Meanwhile, downstairs, Bromeo explains to the rest of the youth that if you want to survive in a horror movie, you need to be straight edge. No drinking, no drugs, and no boinking. The characters who do always die. Outside, van dwellers continue to creep on teens, and Deputy asks April if she wants to go on a date in the woods to check out some crime. And she says, "Hell yeah." Bromeo answers the phone to someone else's house, and Mystery Person tells him that the principal is dead and hanging from the football goalpost with his guts on the wrong side of his body, just like Big Puny Drew earlier in the movie. The entire party leaves to go look at the demented scene, and Bromeo hangs with Michael Myers all alone. April and Cop enjoy a lover's stroll until teens run them off the road and they literally fall in love. Smoochy, smoochy, hey look, it's the crime car we came to find. Back in the Bone Zone, Never asks Bush who he called at the police station, and he's like, "My dad." And she's like, "Nuh-uh, the cops called your dad." And he's like, "Talk to the hand." I wish. This movie is 90s. Why is no one saying the cool 90s phrase? Instead, he's like, "Dude, I didn't kill anyone." Then the 9X Nightmare appears and is like, "He didn't, but I did." Then he stabs Bush, but there don't seem to be any holes in his shirt. 9X chases Never through the house, and she defeats him with door. Again, this guy is bad at doors. Never escapes to the roof, then to the ground. The chase is on. Bromeo watches people almost get stabbed, then Never joins Van Man, and they watch Bromeo almost get stabbed while watching teens almost get stabbed. 9X leaves Bromeo, but where did he go? Oh, there he is. Bye-bye, Van Man. Never almost gets the big shiny, but she again defeats him with door. She then escapes through the doggy door, unlike her ex-best friend Twin Peaks. Wrong Twin Peaks. That's my Rob Cop video. Make sure you watch that one too. Never flees to the barn, and April needs a new camera guy. Bye-bye, Kenny. April has never driven a car, so she stops doing that. After parking in the forest, Never needs another ride. Maybe Cops can give you a lift. Nope, he's busy. Never calls more cops on cop phone. She grabs a gun, then Shaggy and Bromeo are like, "He's the bad guy." "Nuh-uh, you are." "Nuh-uh." And Never is like, "Talk to the hand." Then Bush is like, "I'm back and I feel great." Well, I did. Never then decides to give her half-dead boyfriend the gun. That bad decision is confirmed bad when Bush suddenly shoots Bromeo. Then he starts snacking on his own blood. She's like, "Ew," and he's like, "It's corn syrup." And she's like, "You bleed corn syrup?" Ew, confirmed. She says, "Shaggy, help me." Bush keeps licking himself. And Shaggy is like, "Sound familiar?" And she's like, "Hey, that's the voice of Daddy Death, aka the 9X Nightmare. How did you trap his mouth in that tiny box?" They then explain to her for 5 minutes how psychopaths work and that this is their coming out party. And she's like, so you're telling me you're both the murderer? And they're like, yup, and it's because your mom did the reproductive ritual with my dad, and then my mom left us, and I had to remove your mom from life, plus everyone else in town. And on top of it all, your dad is here, but not for long. While explaining their entire plan to her instead of just killing her, they say they're framing Daddy as Daddy Death, and it'll look like he lost it after his wife cheated on him. Then they decorate themselves with holes to appear as victims. Now for the final step. Shaggy will insert bullets into Dad with gun. But how can one do that when the gun has left? Where did it go? Why don't you ask the gun, says April O'Neil. Things are not going as planned. MMA, says Bush, and April says, good night. Uh-oh, where did the family go? Shaggy is whizzing blood everywhere, and Bush is panicking. Things are really not going according to plan. Ring, ring, who is it? It's Lady Death. Never is now in charge. Come and find me. Bush is so unhappy that he can't kill them, so he kills a pillow. Something needs to die. Lady Death says, the cops are on their way. You fools are screwed. Bush goes to the closet to find a jacket, but all he finds is an umbrella. Umbrella puts him to sleep. Uh-oh, Shaggy is back and wants to cuddle. No thanks, says Never. TGIF is on. Unfortunately, he only catches the end credits. Then Bush is like, hey, don't forget, I'd like to kill you. And she's like, yeah, you just can't finger that out. Index right to the stab wound. Bushy no likey. Time to die. Yes, it is, says April. And that concludes Bush's farewell tour. Encore, says Bush. Never, says Never. The end. Wow, that movie was really great. So many cordless phones got me drooling all day. Please tell me more movies to do. I read all the comments. I'm trying to do all that you say. Should I do a modern movie? I think Total Recall will be next, or Running Man. Also, Titanic will be back up soon. That's maybe my favorite one. Please watch it when it's back. Okay, bye.